2021 gave us an early highlight with the surprise return of Carlito. The former Intercontinental and United States champion wrestled his first WWE matches in over a decade, sporting a physique you can only get by eating a barrel full of apples a day, and remind us just how bloody cool he is. He's not the coolest though, is he? I like Carlito and everything, but his re-emergence got me thinking about WWE superstars past and present who edge him in the coolness stakes. Now, coolness is subjective, but I think we can all agree that you know it when you see it, and it usually looks a little something like this. We all know wrestling is cool, but wrestlers themselves often find it hard to be cool, which can be due to them being poorly presented by the organization, bad writing, or just the performers being massive dorks and their dorkiness shining through. Poor guys, must be hard for them. But enough about those losers, this is about those with swagger, and I ain't talking about Jack. The hip and happening hunks and hunnies that we all look up to, but would probably make a weird squeaking noise in front of if we ever actually met them. God, they're cool. They're so cool. They're just so cool. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 coolest WWE stars ever. Join us. Number 10, Roman Reigns. Well, we might as well kick this off with a bit of controversy, because controversy almost certainly is cool. I mean, unless you're a high-ranking politician and you get caught in the cupboard with the nanny, in which case it's just a little bit embarrassing. Up until fairly recently, if you'd have called Roman Reigns cool, you'd probably, I don't know, get called a bunch of nasty names over the internet and had your New Japan World subscription taken off you. But just look at him. Look at him! He's tall, he's handsome, he's got all of those lovely muscles, he's got a great beard, tattoos, you betcha, carries himself like a star, he's a cracking wrestler, and does mad bollocks like the Superman punch. He also didn't get rattled when WWE almost Lex Lugered him by pushing him against the will of the people. He simply went about his business, putting on great match after great match, all while looking like the star of a premium shampoo commercial. He's had to fight an uphill battle sometimes, suffering succotash, and the belt tug-of-war with Lesnar springs to mind, but that's down to bad writing, not any lack of coolness on the part of the former Hound of Justice. Number 9, Randy Orton. Another one that might raise a few eyebrows, but just think about it for a second. Yes, Randy Orton has been on WWE television for coming on 20 years now, and half of that time does feel as though it has taken place in a chinlock. But while some may be put off by the Viper's methodical in-ring style, his personality, both inside and outside of the ring, have been at times cooler than a polar bear colony. As far as his wrestling persona, he's smoother than silk, somebody who is portrayed as always being one step ahead and ready to strike with an RKO out of nowhere. He can go off the boil and languish sometimes, usually due to how he's booked and who he's feuding with, but he has that inability to flick a switch and become the most talked about wrestler in the business at the drop of a hat. As far as outside the ring, well, he just doesn't give one single solitary you-know-what. Now, I can't say the word I want to here, but I'm sure Randy would. He would happily accept the fine or suspension for the privilege of doing a swear before going out for a cigarette and signing a fan's bra or something. He's mellowed over time, sure, but he still has an unpredictable bad boy bite, which makes him perennially cool and, dare I say, just a little bit fanciable. Number 8, Rob Van Dam. If there was one major positive coming out of the bungled invasion storyline, it's that it gave us Rob Van Dam in WWE. The whole effing show had long been a favourite of hardcore fans who were enthralled with his unique blend of laid-back personality and full-throttle in-ring style. Cool, calm and collected in backstage segments and in interviews, RVD transformed into a backflipping, chair-kicking force of nature inside the squared circle. And let me tell you something, there was nothing cooler to an adolescent Adam Pacitti than a bloke who had a ponytail and wore crazy gear with dragons and yin-yangs on it. Plus, he was the hardcore champion, which allowed him to do mad stuff off ladders and smash people through tables, which is always very cool too. He also got over organically because fans just liked the bloke and got a good vibe from him, rather than WWE pushing him down our throats. Outside of the ring, Van Dam has proven himself to be one of the coolest, most stand-up wrestlers out there. He's notoriously fond of the old wacky-backy and lives by his own code, sort of like a hippie mafioso. RVD also, like Orton, is unafraid to speak his mind and stays true to what he believes in, as evidenced by him telling WWE no thanks when they repeatedly tried to pressure him to perform on their voluntary tours of the Middle East. Number 7, Lita. Lita was cool the instant she showed up on WWE TV. Initially accompanying S.A. Rios, Lita caught the attention with her flame red hair, intriguing shoulder tattoo, and the fact that, oh yeah, she can do moonsaults and hurricane ranas too. Once she ditched the light heavyweight champion and joined up with the also too cool for their time Hardy Boys, her cool factor only intensified. Unleashing her inner tomboy, the fiery daredevil changed up her look and persona to both inspire and melt the hearts of millions of fans. As a member of Team Extreme, Lita was one of the most popular acts in WWE, and with good reason. She wasn't afraid to mix it up with the guys and be physical, routinely taking big bumps and throwing herself in harm's way for the cause. And she pioneered wearing baggy pants with a thong peeking out over the top, something that horny boys the world over will forever be thankful for. Outside of the ring, our Amy just seems like a lass you'd want to have a pint with. She's into animals and volunteers her time at shelters and has also played in punk bands before. Lita completely broke the mold of what a so-called WWE diva was and continues to be an inspiration for similarly cool performers like Sasha Banks and Bayley. Number 6, Scott Hall. The 90s new generation wasn't necessarily known for being the coolest time in WWE. The brand's popularity was decreasing after a big boom period because it simply wasn't seen as hip, with the creative direction, especially the ragbag host of loser characters, turning viewers off. One wrestler from the era who positively radiated coolness was Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon. Oozing confidence and machismo, Ramon was one of WWE's better creations from the time, whether he was playing a smug bullying heel or a smooth-talking babyface. Once he dropped the Ramon character and went by his real name later on, he was still cool, but had greater license to push the envelope, especially with some of his wink-wink nudge-nudge promos that would doubtless succeed in riling up the rest of the boys in the back. Not that the bad guy cared, of course, having once famously said that he was in the wrestling business and not in the friendship business. And that is the secret to Hall's coolness. He just doesn't care. He's going to do what he wants to do when he wants to do it, and he's gonna have a good time regardless. Obviously, this wanton disregard for others and himself has plagued his personal life, but as an on-screen character, few were as cool as the bloke who was a dead shot with a toothpick. Number 5, Batista. What makes Batista so cool? Does the massive Herculean physique have something to do with it? Yeah, a little bit. The tattoos and the piercings and those grizzled good looks? Oh yeah, that'll help. Or how about his outspoken attitude, progressive politics, the fact that he's a big-time wrestler and major movie star, and once decided to have an MMA fight in his early 40s just for the hell of it? Yeah, those certainly all add to the case, you know? But with Big Dave, his coolness mostly derives from his outstanding and unparalleled wardrobe. Yes, fashion certainly counts here, and is a reason you won't see the likes of Chris Jericho anywhere near this list. And when you're talking about superstars that both act and look the part, the first visual that enters your brain should be the animal rocking a pink polo shirt with sunglasses or a Canadian tuxedo without the shirt. Big Dave can take any look and make it work, whether it's a tailored suit or a wife beater and skinny jeans. The outfits add to his aura and probably accounts, at least in part, for his staggering success rate with the ladies. Besides that, he just seems like a decent, chilled out, down-to-earth bloke, you know what I mean? That said, he would probably rank a little bit higher if it wasn't for the lunchbox collection. Number 4, Rick Rude. Most of Rick Rude's coolness comes not from his on-screen persona, but stories that have since come to light about his backstage ways. Not to discount his wrestling character or anything, because there's still something rather cool about a chiseled, robe-wearing, rugged, mustachioed ladies' man. And in his post-in-ring retirement days, when he was acting as the surly enforcer for DX, for example, few could wear a suit and sneer quite as well as the Tom Selleck lookalike. But behind the curtain, Rude was viewed as the ultimate tough and honest man's man. From decking an ungrateful Ultimate Warrior backstage to arm wrestling police officers in a bar while taking them for $2,000, there are countless examples of Ravishing Rick doing something straight out of an 80s action film. A favourite amongst the boys, he was always one to stand beside his road-weary comrades. Case in point was when he quit WWE in the wake of the Montreal Screwjob, accomplishing the feat of turning up during a taped Raw and a live Nitro on the same night because he was so incensed at what had happened to his good friend Bret Hart. Rude was the type of stud from another era you just don't find anymore. That's because their hard-living ways have led to their extinction, which isn't so cool, but does end up only adding to their myth. Number 3. Shinsuke Nakamura. A lot of the current crop of WWE superstars certainly do not come across as cool. To be fair to them, they're almost not allowed to, with the infantile writing and PG-rated guidelines they often have to work within. There are rare exceptions, like Roman Reigns, who we covered earlier, but on the whole, modern rosters can sadly come across as geeks, especially when viewed next to returning legends. One wrestler who just oozes coolness is Shinsuke Nakamura, a man that has had many ups and downs in WWE over the years, but still manages to come out on the other end as Mr. Freeze. So, what is cool about Nakamura? It's rather hard to pinpoint, in all honesty. If another wrestler tried to blend strong style submissions and strikes with Freddie Mercury stylings and Michael Jackson dance moves, it almost certainly would not work. But with Nakamura, it just does, because he has a certain quality and charisma that makes that weird amalgamation a winner. There's still a bit of mystery to Nakamura too, and we don't quite know exactly what makes him tick or what he's into when he's not crushing fools at his day job. Social media tells me he is a sharp-dressed fella though. A sharp-dressed fella who will knee you in the face and moonwalk over your unconscious body. Number 2, The Rock. Dwayne Johnson has come a long way from turtlenecks, flat tops, and fanny packs, hasn't he? The most electrifying man in all of entertainment endured a rocky start, pun intended, to his WWE career before transforming into the ultra-cool and impossibly charismatic People's Champion. Buff, handsome, athletic, funny, young, don't you just hate him? No, of course not. You loved him. We all did, and we all most likely still do. In the Attitude Era, nobody was cooler than The Rock. Steve Austin may have been the most popular wrestler and top star, and rightly so, but he wasn't wearing shades, raising an eyebrow, and pulling off shirts like this, was he? The Brahma Bull was simply magnetic, and it's really little wonder that Hollywood came a-knockin'. And then The Rock goes and becomes the biggest thing there, setting box office records and amassing even more fans, while still periodically coming back to remind the WWE Universe that he wakes up pissing excellence and can cut an iconic promo whenever he feels like it. Away from the camera, his public persona is that of a witty yet conscientious beefcake who pumps iron and makes movies by day, but is home to have a tea party with his kids and a glass of tequila before bed. The man can and does do it all, and he does it with style. Number 1, Kevin Nash. Yes, the number 1 coolest WWE star ever is Big Daddy Cool himself. Kevin Nash, Diesel, Vinny Vegas, whatever you want to call him, and however many quad-tearing jokes you want to make, and trust me, I've made a few in my time, you cannot deny the man is the walking, talking, 7-foot essence of cool. The original NWO member's WWE character was initially that of an imposing silent enforcer for Shawn Michaels, but his role grew as he evolved into a beloved WWE champion. A dude with attitude, Nash let more of his personality shine through, and fans got to see what the man behind the gimmick was like. Turns out, Nash himself is one cool customer, someone who doesn't take himself or the business too seriously, and seems more concerned with getting paid, having a good time with his pals, and maintaining the best head of hair the business has seen since... No, wait, scrap that. Nobody has had more impressive locks either before or since Big Sexy in his prime. Some weren't fond of him due to his backstage influence and clique credentials, but he emerged from that murky period intact, and his reputation for being a sound guy has only increased in recent years, with the newer generation of wrestlers only too happy to talk about how the veteran really is too sweet. Oh, God, I'm cool.